The Valiant's bridge was a flurry of activity as the crews of the Galactic Alliance fleet encircled the lone human warship. Commander Evelyn Stark gripped the arms of her command chair, her eyes narrowed in concentration. For years, humanity had watched nervously as the galactic powers expanded their influence across the cosmos. Now that expansion had reached the edge of human space, and the Valiant found itself the last line of defense against an unstoppable alien onslaught. Stark knew the odds were stacked against them. The Valiant, while a formidable vessel, was vastly outnumbered and outgunned by the hundreds of ships that now surrounded them. The sheer firepower of the galactic fleet could reduce the human warship to debris in a matter of minutes. And yet Stark refused to accept defeat. She had spent her entire career fighting against impossible odds, and she was about to start surrendering now, not when the very future of humanity hung in the balance. Turning to her executive officer, Commander Lena Raines, Stark barked out a series of orders. The crew sprang into action, powering up the Valiant's defensive systems and charging the main weapon banks. Raines eyed her commander with a mixture of trepidation and admiration. Stark's tactical brilliance was legendary, but even she must realize that this was a battle they couldn't possibly win. Sensing Raines' hesitation, Stark placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Look, Lena, I know the odds are stacked against us, but we've been in tough spots before. Remember Tarsus 4, when we took on that Zarian cruiser with only half our shields and came out on top? Raines nodded slowly. Yes, Commander, but this is different. The Zarians were overconfident and sloppy. These galactic bastards are ruthless and well-trained. We're talking about an entire fleet, not just a single ship. Stark allowed a thin smile to cross her lips. That's why we're going to have to fight dirty. Raines. After all, we humans are known for our tenacity and our ingenuity. We've been underestimated before and lived to tell the tale. A thunderous explosion rocked the Valiant as the first volley of galactic weapons fire slammed into their shields. Sparks flew and alarms blared, but the human crew stood firm, refusing to be cowed by the overwhelming alien onslaught. Commander Stark gritted her teeth as she surveyed the damage to her ship, but her eyes gleamed with a fierce determination. If these galactic pricks think they're going to roll over us without a fight, then they're sorely mistaken. This was humanity's last stand, a final defiant act of resistance against the encroaching alien empire, and Evelyn Stark would be damned if she let her world and her people go down without one hell of a fight. In a clear, crisp voice, Stark issued her orders to the Valiant's crew. Evasive maneuvers. Helm, keep us moving erratically. Weapons, concentrate all firepower on their command ships. Let's show these alien bastards what we're made of. The Valiant surged forward, its powerful engines propelling it between the galactic vessels, its shields flaring as it weathered the barrage of enemy fire turrets and missile launchers blazed away, targeting the most heavily armored and defended ships in the galactic fleet. Stark watched grimly as explosions ripped through the alien vessels. One by one, the galactic command ships succumbed to the Valiant's relentless assault, their destruction sowing confusion and panic among the enemy ranks. The human crew cheered as they witnessed the galactic fleet beginning to falter, but Stark knew better than to let her guard down. This was just the opening salvo of what was sure to be a long and grueling battle for survival. With a grim determination, the Valiant continued its deadly dance among the galactic ships, intent on inflicting as much damage as possible before the enemy overwhelmed them. Humanity's future hung in the balance, and Evelyn Stark would fight to the last breath to ensure their victory. The Valiant's shields flickered and strained under the relentless barrage of galactic firepower. Though the human vessel had managed to inflict significant damage on the enemy fleet, the sheer numerical superiority of the galactic ships threatened to overwhelm them. Commander Stark gripped the arms of her chair, her knuckles turning white as she watched the tactical display. The Valiant's energy reserves were rapidly depleting, and she knew they couldn't keep up this level of evasive maneuvers and aggressive counterattacks for much longer. Shields down to 75%, Commander, Raines reported, her voice tense. We can't sustain this kind of damage for much longer. Stark's jaw tightened. We have to find a way to turn the tide. Those galactic bastards may have numbers on their side, but we've got something they don't: innovation and adaptability. Raines nodded, understanding the implication. You have a plan, don't you? You know me too well, Lena, Stark said, a glimmer of a smile crossing her lips. Helm, set a course for the nearest galactic command ship, maximum impulse. The Valiant surged forward, weaving through the hail of enemy fire. Stark's crew worked tirelessly, using every trick in their arsenal to confuse and disorient the Galactic fleet. Shields down to 50%, Rains called out. We won't be able to take much more of this. Stark's eyes narrowed as she focused on the rapidly approaching command ship. Just a little closer, she muttered under her breath. The Valiant's weapon systems roared to life, concentrating their firepower on the command ship's vulnerable points. Explosions ripped through the Galactic vessel, sending it spiraling out of control. Direct hit, one of the crew members shouted triumphantly. Stark allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction, but her expression quickly turned grim. Don't let up, people. That was just the first step. We've got to keep them off balance if we're going to have any chance of surviving this. The Valiant continued its relentless assault, its crew working tirelessly to outmaneuver and outgun the Galactic fleet. Stark's unorthodox tactics seemed to be paying off, as the enemy commanders struggled to adapt to the human vessel's unpredictable movements and devastating firepower. But as the battle raged on, the Valiant's defenses began to falter. Its shields were down to a critical level, and Stark knew they were running out of options. Helm, prepare for an emergency FTL jump, she ordered, her voice calm and steady. We need to buy ourselves some time to regroup and figure out our next move. The Valiant's engines roared to life, and the human vessel vanished into the depths of space, narrowly escaping the Galactic fleet. Stark sat back in her chair, her eyes narrowed in thought. She knew that this was only a temporary respite, and that the Galactic Alliance would be coming for them with renewed ferocity. But as long as the Valiant and her crew drew breath, humanity would not surrender. They would fight back, no matter the odds, and prove to the Galactic powers that they were a force to be reckoned with. The Valiant emerged from its desperate FTL jump, the ship's battered hull testament to the ferocity of the battle it had just endured. Commander Stark gazed out at the empty expanse of space, her jaw set with determination. Damage report, she ordered, turning to her executive officer, Commander Rains. Rains' expression was grim as she relayed the information. Shields are down to 30%, and we've sustained significant damage to the port nacelle and weapons arrays. We're running on emergency power, and our FTL drive is offline. Stark nodded, her mind racing. So we're sitting ducks out here, with the Galactic fleet sure to be on our trail. She paused, then turned to the helm. Helm, start running a diagnostic on the FTL drive. We need to get that system back online as soon as possible. The crew sprang into action, their faces etched with a mixture of exhaustion and resolve. They knew that their respite was only temporary, and that the Galactic Alliance would be coming for them with renewed ferocity. Rain stepped up to Stark's side, her expression grim. Commander, I don't need to tell you that we're in a precarious position. The Galactic fleet is vast and powerful, and we're barely holding on. We may have managed to inflict some damage, but they'll be coming for us with everything they've got. Stark's eyes narrowed. I'm well aware of the situation, Lena, but we're not going down without a fight. These Galactic bastards may have the numbers, but we got something they don't, the will to survive. She turned to the crew, her voice ringing out with conviction. Listen up, people. I know the odds are stacked against us, but we've faced worse before. We're the best damn crew in the fleet, and we're not about to let a bunch of overgrown space squid push us around. The crew responded with a cheer, their spirits lifted by Stark's words. Rains allowed herself a small smile. So, what's the plan, Commander? Stark's expression hardened. We're going to fight dirty. These Galactic pricks think they can just steamroll over us, but they're in for a rude awakening. We're going to use every trick in the book to confuse and disorient them, and then we're going to hit them where it hurts. She turned to the tactical officer. Scan the surrounding systems for any resources or technology we can use to our advantage, and start working on a way to override their communications and sensor systems. If we can't outgun them, we'll outsmart them. The crew set to work, their movements quick and efficient. Stark watched them, a glimmer of pride in her eyes. They were a ragtag bunch, to be sure, but they were her crew, and she knew they would fight to the bitter end. As the Valiant systems began to come back online, Stark knew that they would have to be ready for the Galactic fleet's inevitable return. But this time, they would be the ones to strike first, and they would do it with the full force of human ingenuity and tenacity. The Valiant's crew worked tirelessly to restore their battered ship to fighting condition, their hands moving with practiced efficiency as they rerouted power, repaired damaged systems, and prepared for the Galactic fleet's inevitable return. Commander Stark paced the bridge, her eyes scanning the tactical displays with a keen focus. She knew that the respite they had earned was only temporary, and that the Galactic Alliance would not be so easily deterred. "How long until the FTL drive is back online?" she asked, turning to her executive officer, Commander Rains. Rains' expression was grim as she consulted the readouts. "Another 10 minutes, maybe 15. We've had to do some jury rigging to get it working again, but it should get us back into the fight." Stark nodded, her jaw set with determination. "Good. We'll need every advantage we can get. Those galactic bastards are going to be coming at us with everything they've got." The bridge crew worked in tense silence, their fingers flying across their consoles as they prepared for the impending battle. Stark watched them, her mind racing as she weighed their options. Suddenly, the proximity alarms blared to life, and the tactical display lit up with the approaching Galactic fleet. Stark's eyes narrowed as she took in the sheer scale of the enemy forces. "They're coming in fast," Rains reported, her voice taut with tension. "Looks like they brought in reinforcements. We're outnumbered 5-1, at least." Stark's grip tightened on the arms of her chair. "Helm, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Weapons, target their command ships, and fire everything we've got." The Valiant surged forward, its engines straining as it dodged the hail of galactic weapons fire. The human crew fought with a desperate ferocity, their skills honed by years of combat experience. But the Galactic fleet was unrelenting, their superior numbers and firepower slowly wearing down the Valiant's defenses. Stark watched in frustration as the ship's shields flickered and faltered, the strain of maintaining their evasive maneuvers taking a heavy toll. "Shields down to 20%, Rains shouted, her voice tinged with panic. "We can't take much more of this." Stark's mind raced, searching for a solution. They were outmatched, outgunned, and running out of options. But she refused to give up, refused to let the Galactic Alliance crush the last remnants of human resistance. "Helm, prepare for an emergency FTL jump," she ordered, her voice calm and steady. "Get us out of here now." The Valiant's engines roared to life, and the ship vanished into the depths of space, narrowly escaping the galactic onslaught. Stark sat back in her chair, her breath coming in ragged gasps, but her eyes shone with a fierce determination. They may have been forced to retreat, but they were still alive, and as long as the Valiant and her crew remained standing, humanity would continue to fight. The Valiant emerged from its desperate FTL jump, the ship's battered hull a testament to the ferocity of the battle it had just endured. Commander Stark gazed out at the unfamiliar stars, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Report," she said, her voice terse. Rains stepped forward, her expression a mix of relief and concern. "We've lost our pursuit, Commander, but the ship's taken a beating. We're running on emergency power, and the FTL drive is offline again." Stark nodded, her mind racing. "Casualties? Minimal, but we've got several crew members in critical condition," Rains replied. "The med bay is overwhelmed." Stark's jaw tightened. "Get the medical teams working around the clock. We can't afford to lose anyone else." As the crew set to work, Stark turned her attention to the tactical display, studying the surrounding systems. They needed to find a safe harbor, a place where they could regroup and repair the Valiant before the Galactic fleet inevitably tracked them down. Suddenly, a cheer went up from the bridge crew, drawing Stark's attention. "What is it?" she demanded, her voice sharp. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," one of the officers reported, his eyes wide with disbelief. It's from Starfleet Command." Stark felt a surge of hope as she moved to the communications console, her fingers flying across the controls. "This is Commander Evelyn Stark of the UES Valiant. We're under attack by the Galactic Alliance and in need of immediate assistance." The response was almost immediate, the familiar voice of Admiral Jansen crackling through the speakers. "Valiant, this is Starfleet Command. We've been monitoring your battle with the Galactic fleet. Your actions have inspired awe and fear throughout the Alliance. You've done humanity proud, Evelyn." Stark felt a surge of pride, but her expression remained grim. "Sir, we're in bad shape. Our FTL drive is offline, and we're running on emergency power. We need reinforcements, and we need them now." "Understood, Valiant," Jansen replied. We're mobilizing a fleet as we speak. Hold your position, and we'll have you extracted within the hour." Stark allowed herself a brief moment of relief, but she knew that their troubles were far from over. The Galactic Alliance would not take this humiliation lightly, and they would be coming for the Valiant with a vengeance. As the crew celebrated their unexpected rescue, Stark turned to Rains, her expression serious. "We've bought ourselves some time, but we can't rest easy just yet. Those galactic bastards will be coming for us, and we need to be ready." Rains nodded, her own face set with determination. "We'll be ready, Commander. The Valiant and her crew have never backed down from a fight, and we're not about to start now." Stark allowed a thin smile to cross her lips. "That's right, Lena. Humanity may have been the underdog, but we've got a few tricks up our sleeve, and we're just getting started." News of the Valiant's unexpected triumph against the Galactic Alliance fleet spread like wildfire through the galaxy, inspiring awe and fear in equal measure. The galactic powers, unaccustomed to such staunch human resistance, convened an emergency summit to discuss this remarkable turn of events. Seated around the ornate conference table, the galactic commanders traded tense glares, their expressions a mix of frustration and bewilderment. How could a single human warship, vastly outnumbered and outmatched, have survived their coordinated onslaught? "This is unprecedented," growled a grizzled Cresari admiral, his mandibles twitching in agitation. "The humans have proven themselves a far more formidable adversary than we ever anticipated." A sleek, silver-skinned, Halothian scientist cleared her throat, her eyes narrowed in concentration. The Valiant's victory was no mere fluke. It is clear that the humans possess some technological advantage, or perhaps an unorthodox tactical approach that has allowed them to overcome our superior firepower. The galactic leaders exchanged uneasy glances, each grappling with the implications of this startling revelation. If the humans could resist the combined might of the Galactic Alliance, what other surprises might they have in store? "We must discover the secret of the Valiant's success," a Vosian diplomat declared, her voice dripping with authority. "Dispatch our best scientists and strategists to study the human vessel. We cannot allow this upstart species to continue challenging our dominance." The others murmured their agreement, and soon, a fleet of galactic vessels was en route to the last known coordinates of the Valiant. Aboard the human warship, Commander Stark and her crew watched the approaching ships with a mix of trepidation and defiance. "They're coming for us," Rain said grimly, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Stark nodded, her expression grim. "We knew they would. These galactic pricks don't take kindly to being embarrassed in front of their peers." The crew tensed, their hands hovering over their consoles as they prepared for the impending confrontation. But Stark raised a hand, silencing them with a gesture. "Hold your fire," she ordered, her voice calm and steady. "Let them come to us. I have a feeling they're not here to finish the job." Rains looked at her commander, puzzled. "You think they want to capture the Valiant and its crew?" Stark's lips curved into a humorless smile. "Exactly. These galactic bastards are too curious for their own good. They want to know how we did it, how a single human ship managed to stand up to their entire fleet." She turned to the bridge crew, her eyes sweeping over them with a mixture of pride and determination. "Well, we're not going to make it easy for them. We're going to keep our secrets close to the vest, and we're going to show these galactic pricks that humanity is not to be trifled with." The crew responded with a resounding cheer, their spirits lifted by Stark's unwavering confidence. As the galactic vessels drew closer, the Valiant's crew steeled themselves for the confrontation to come, ready to defend their hard-won triumph and the future of their species. The galactic vessels surrounded the Valiant, their sleek, imposing forms a stark contrast to the battered human warship. Commander Stark stood on the bridge, her expression calm and poised, as she faced down the galactic commanders who had come to study her vessel. "Welcome aboard the Valiant," she said, her voice laced with a hint of defiance. "I trust your journey was a pleasant one." The Xylothian scientist, her silvery skin gleaming under the bridge lights, stepped forward, her eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Commander Stark, we have come to investigate the technological secrets that allowed your ship to defeat our combined fleet. You will cooperate fully with our examination." Stark raised a single eyebrow, her lips curving into a wry smile. "I'm afraid I can't do that. The Valiant's systems and technology are strictly off limits. We humans like to keep a few surprises up our sleeves. The Krasari admiral let out a rumbling growl, his mandibles clicking in agitation. You will comply, human, or we will take your ship by force. Stark's expression hardened, her eyes glinting with a dangerous edge. You're welcome to try, Admiral, but I can assure you my crew and I are more than willing to fight to the last man to protect our secrets. The galactic commanders exchanged uneasy glances, their confidence shaken by the humans' unwavering defiance. They had expected the Valiant's crew to be cowed and compliant, not resolute and ready for a fight. Sensing their hesitation, Stark pressed her advantage. You see, we humans are a rather stubborn lot. We don't take kindly to being pushed around, even by a mighty galactic alliance. She stepped closer to the Xylothian scientist, her expression hardening. So, here's how this is going to play out. You and your galactic friends are going to turn around and leave my ship alone. If you try to force your way in, we'll show you exactly why the Valiant was able to stand up to your entire fleet. The galactic commanders stood in stunned silence, their pride and ambition warring with the growing unease they felt in the face of Stark's unyielding determination. Reluctantly, they realized that they had underestimated the humans' resolve, and that a direct confrontation might prove more costly than they were willing to risk. With a terse nod, the Xylothian scientist turned and headed for the exit, the galactic fleet slowly disengaging and retreating. As the Valiant's crew watched the alien vessels disappear into the depths of space, they erupted into cheers, their spirits buoyed by their commander's unwavering defiance. Stark allowed herself a small smile, her eyes scanning the faces of her crew with a mixture of pride and affection. Well done, people. We just sent a message to the Galactic Alliance. Humanity is not to be trifled with. But as the celebrations died down, Stark knew that this was only a temporary respite. The galactic powers would not be satisfied with this humiliation, and they would be coming back for the Valiant with a vengeance. The human crew would need to be ready, for the true test of their mettle was still to come. The Galactic Alliance, stung by the Valiant's unexpected triumph, convened a series of emergency summits, determined to devise a plan that would finally bring the human warship to heel. Their pride and ambition had been wounded, and they would stop at nothing to uncover the secrets that had allowed the Valiant to withstand their combined might. But Stark and her crew remained steadfast, their resolve hardening with each passing day. They knew that the galactic fleet would return, and they were determined to be ready. As the weeks turned into months, the Valiant underwent a series of covert upgrades and modifications, its crew working tirelessly to bolster its defenses and firepower. Stark's tactical genius came to the fore as she devised a daring plan to turn the tables on the Galactic Alliance. Finally, the moment of reckoning arrived. The Valiant's sensors detected the approach of the galactic fleet, its vessels bristling with weapons and advanced technology. Stark's gaze hardened as she surveyed the tactical display, her mind racing with the countless scenarios she had carefully considered. All hands battle stations, she ordered, her voice ringing out with unwavering authority. This is it, people. Remember your training, stay focused, and don't hold anything back. Today, we show the Galactic Alliance the true might of humanity. The Valiant surged forward, its powerful engines propelling it towards the approaching galactic ships. As the battle commenced, the human vessel displayed a level of coordination and firepower that left the galactic commanders reeling. Stark's unorthodox tactics, combined with the Valiant's upgraded systems, allowed the human crew to outmaneuver and outgun their opponents at every turn. Explosions rocked the galactic fleet, as the Valiant's weapons and defensive systems proved to be far more advanced than anyone had anticipated. The battle raged on, with both sides taking heavy losses. But as the galactic forces began to falter, Stark seized the opportunity, ordering her crew to execute a calculated strike that would cripple the enemy's command and control capabilities. In a flash of devastating firepower, the Valiant struck true, its barrage of missiles and energy beams cutting a swath through the galactic fleet. The galactic commanders, caught off guard by the intensity of the human onslaught, were powerless to respond, their ships descending into chaos and disarray. As the dust settled, the Valiant emerged victorious, its crew battered but triumphant. Stark stood on the bridge, her eyes shining with a mix of pride and steely determination. Well done, everyone, she said, her voice filled with a quiet intensity. We've just delivered a message to the Galactic Alliance that will reverberate through the stars for generations to come. Humanity is not to be underestimated, and we will fight to the last breath to defend our freedom and our way of life. The crew erupted into cheers, their spirits soaring as they realized the full significance of their accomplishment. The Valiant's triumph had not only secured a decisive victory for humanity, but had also shaken the very foundations of the Galactic Alliance's dominance. In the wake of this pivotal battle, the balance of power in the galaxy shifted, with the human race emerging as a force to be reckoned with. The Valiant and its crew had become a symbol of humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and unwavering determination, a legacy that would inspire generations to come as they continued their quest to forge their own destiny among the stars.